Good morning, Janet Gorond here from Tribe Sober. This morning I'm talking about sober fun. Is it an oxymoron, or is it something that we can learn how to do? When I was thinking about this topic, back to one of our workshops in Joburg a couple of years ago. Do you remember when we could go out and see people face to face? How exciting was that? Anyway, a lady walked into this workshop. In fact, she rushed into the workshop looking and sounding very stressed. And she said, I've been worried about this day. I've been putting off this day for months, but I have to do it. My doctor tells me if I don't stop drinking, I'm going to be so ill. So she said, I'm scared, I'm going to stop drinking. And I'm slowly coming to terms with the fact that I will never be able to have fun again. She said, my life is over. She was quite dramatic. So obviously I reassured her that I didn't think that was the case. But obviously many people feel like that. And I certainly did as well. I remember when I finally accepted that I would have to stop drinking, I was in a bit of a panic. I had thoughts like, what about those long boozy lunches I have with my girlfriends? Or how am I going to really have fun? How am I going to relax? And what is brunch without a bubbly? And what about parties? And what about weddings? Those weddings that go on for a whole day, I'll never survive. So I was hugely worried about sober fun, and a little bit like the lady that came to the workshop, I thought, well, my life's over, basically. I had thoughts like, well, I'm quite old anyway, so I guess I've had lots of fun, and now I'm just going to have a very quiet life and stay home and read books or something. But in fact, it hasn't worked out like that at all. But I thought I'd share with you this morning. I've come up with 10 tips about how to have sober fun. And I think the best description I ever heard about early sobriety. Oh, there's Sue. Hello, Sue. Sorry, the website's driving you mad, Sue. I'll get back to you soon. So early sobriety, that the best analogy that I heard about that was that when we drink alcohol, it's like we're wearing this kind of cozy cloak. And when we get sober, when we stop drinking, it's like someone's ripped that cloak off us and we're naked and we're raw and exposed. And that's exactly how I felt. Because when I reflected on my drinking years, my drinking decades, my free time, it was either spent drinking, out socializing, drinking, having fun, or it was spent relaxing at home. And by relaxing at home, I mean, I was sitting at home drinking wine, watching Netflix. That was my relaxing at home. So I had to recalibrate big time, and it definitely took me a year. So here are my 10 tips if you're in that space where I was and many people are. How am I going to enjoy my life now that I don't drink? So I hope that some of these are useful to you. Now, obviously, the first one is a bit of a mind shift, because I think us drinkers, we're hedonists. We're always chasing the buzz, aren't we? We're always looking for the good times. And we also tend to be, what does Sue say, A-type personalities. And so we tend to work hard and we play hard and we're always on the go. And that's just how we are. But we have to shift our way of thinking somehow. And I personally found it very liberating when I finally accepted that we're not actually here to be happy 24/7. I mean, look at anyone's Instagram feed and you'd think that's the case. But in fact, we have to deal with the fact that part of being human is that some days will feel good and others will feel low. And we have to learn to deal with that. Because when I felt low, I would always, reach for some bubbly or go and, try and go out or do something. But once we can relax a little bit and stop chasing the good times, I think it really helps, because then our personal growth will start. And as our lovely Lynette always says, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And this is where I'll inflict my favourite quote on you yet again. because it was a light bulb for me. And if there's maybe one person that sees this Facebook Live and it has the same effect on them, then it's worth reading it out again. Oh, hi, Natasha. Okay, this is a quote by Viktor Frankl, who I'm sure you all know. If you don't, then do Google him. It's somebody you should know about. Life is not primarily a quest for pleasure, as Freud believed, or a quest for power, as Adler taught, but it's actually a quest for meaning. So the greatest task for any person is to find meaning in his or her life. I thought that was beautiful because personally I just thought we were here to have a good time, and if I wasn't having a good time then I needed to fix something. So that had quite a profound effect on me. So once we've got our mindset, our mind shift done, then maybe we need to think about other types of fun. Now, Catherine Gray, who's written one of my favourite books called The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober, in fact, she's just brought out a new book this week, so do check it out. I think it's called Sunshiny Sober or something. I haven't started it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. So Catherine Gray, she's a very talented writer, and I love the way she calls her chapters. She's got one called Unplugged from the Matrix, and I love that. I'm going to definitely write something about that myself. Just the way that when we're sober, we've got to, see all the marketing stuff that the liquor industry, the marketing industry inflict on us. We just got to see through it. We've got to see through the BS and resist the social pressure. So she calls that unplugging from the matrix. I think that's great. And she also has another chapter in her book, her first book, which is called Day Fun. And Catherine was a journalist, so she worked for a magazine, I think it was Cosmopolitan, one of these ladies' magazines where they were always going to events and doing launches, etc. So her whole work vibe was fun and quite boozy. And then she would spend every evening in nightclubs and bars, because that was what she loved. So when she stopped drinking, because she had to just read the book, she just had no idea what to do with herself. So like any good journalist, she started researching. And she looked around at normal people, as she calls them, non-drinkers, and she noticed that they managed to have fun even though they didn't drink. So she started asking them and looking at what they did, and sure enough, they went to movies, they went hiking, they walked their dogs, they played with their kids, they went out in nature, as she calls it. So for Catherine, nature was a whole new discovery, all this green stuff, as she calls it. So remember, that there is so much else to do out there apart from drinking. And I think if you're stuck for some inspiration, then first of all, go to meetup.com. That's just groups of people that have different interests. There's so much on there, so many interests. And a more modern way perhaps to do that is to go into Clubhouse. I mean, Clubhouse is amazing. 24/7, there are rooms, as they call them. And a room is a group of people chatting about a specific topic. And we have a room on Sundays at 5 p.m. called Sober Secrets. But have a look through there. Do come to our room, please, but also scroll through it, and you'll be amazed at the diverse interests that people have. And if you want an invite to Clubhouse, just get in touch and we can do that for you. Okay, so we've got mind shift, we've got day fun, and now number 3 is feel the awkward and do it anyway. I did a mailer recently referring to one of my favourite books from the 70s or 80s. It was called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I love that, and I've used it as a mantra my whole life, really. But there's a new one that's come out called Feel the Awkward and Do It Anyway. And I discovered this when I was chatting to a lady called Vicky Vanstone. She was in last week's podcast interview. And she's got a podcast herself, which is called Sober Awkward. And I think that's a brilliant name for a podcast. Because let's face it, 95% of people that stop drinking, they're going to feel awkward because they're so used to using alcohol to fast forward their feelings when they're out socializing. So I mean, sober small talk is a skill that we have to learn. So my tip for this particular thing for relaxing when you socialize is just do it in four steps. Socialize sober, do it. Feel awkward, you will feel awkward. Go home, journal it, and then repeat, rinse and repeat. Do that again and again. And I had to do precisely that for at least 6 months until I could really relax. And then finally, your subconscious will accept that it is possible to relax and enjoy yourself without alcohol. And then you'll be fine. But if you've been using alcohol to socialize for decades, you have some work to do, but it's possible. Number 4, make a list. I'm a great list builder. I've got a list of these 10 points that I'm ticking off, and I'm getting a dopamine hit every time I tick one off. So that's how it works. So not only will you get a dopamine hit from ticking off an item from your to-do list, but you'll be reducing the mental clutter, and it will give you a sense of progress. So when our bodies have been relying on alcohol to make us feel good for so long, we have to find other ways to get a natural high, because it takes months. It can take up to 14 months for our natural dopamine, our natural feel-good hormones to come back and start working properly, because we've been suppressing them for years. Our bodies think, oh, well, she's got her alcohol to make her feel good, we don't have to do any work. So when it takes them a while to get back to work. So in the meantime, we can't just sit there being totally miserable waiting. We have to get out there and find other ways, find out what our natural highs are, and find other ways to get all the dopamine that we can. So make a to-do list, cross off the items. And it's all about discovering our natural highs. So here are a few more. So meditation and yoga, pretty obvious ones, I know, but numerous studies have proved that these activities have a profound effect on our mental health. And of course, yoga will do wonders for our flexibility as well as we get older. And building on the yoga and meditation, of course, comes exercise, and that's an absolute no-brainer. We have to get moving, whatever age we are, whether we're up for training for a marathon, or whether you're just like me and you get a Fitbit and you tick off your 10,000 steps every day, getting a dopamine hit from just ticking off that as done. But just do it every single day. Make sure that you exercise. Because exercise will help you deal with any cravings that you might get. And of course, it will release endorphins, which will make you feel good. That's a real chemical reaction that will be taking place in your body. Excuse me, I'll just have a drink of water. It's not gin, it's okay. So, number 9. Oh, let me just see who's here. Oh, Lynette, lovely. Well, unplugging from the matrix, absolutely, it is liberating, isn't it, Lynette? And Clubhouse. If you haven't been to Clubhouse, you've got to go to Clubhouse. Yeah, getting over my awkward is another win. Okay, where were we? Number 7, listen to music. I mean, music is so powerful and it lifts our spirits. And the reason that it does that is because it affects several different parts of our brain. So I recommend that you create your very own sobriety playlist. Just get all those songs, even if the old songs, go through Spotify, make yourself a playlist and listen to it every day. And that'll become entrenched in your mind as something fun and something good that is that is connected to your alcohol-free lifestyle. And if you want a double dopamine hit, then of course listen to the music while you're exercising. Number 8, get creative. Now, one of the joys of getting sober, of course, is that suddenly we have time on our hands. This can be a bit scary, but it's good to have time, trust me. When you're not planning the drinking, doing the drinking, getting over the drinking, you'll have some time. So let's use that time to discover who we really are. Discover what gives us a natural high. So you need to start exploring, basically. Think of yourself as a researcher. Be a scientist in your own life. 3 suggestions. Take an online course. I mean, this is a real joy of the internet age, I think. Anybody can learn almost anything. Just go to udemy.com and look at all the courses there. There are so many courses, and they are so cheap. Here in South Africa, we can buy courses for 50 rand. I mean, it's a joke. It's the price of a couple of coffees. So learn something new. And start a blog, maybe. Creative writing is a lovely thing to do. Even if you don't feel you're much of a writer, maybe read The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And Julia recommends that you get up in the morning and you just write. This is just for your own eyes. Write 2-3 pages. She calls it the morning pages. If you do that for a few weeks, you'll be unlocking your creativity. It's so powerful. So I would recommend that book. And maybe paint a picture. Just get a blank sheet of paper and see what you can draw or paint. I mean, we've got several people in our tribe now. I'm thinking of Laura and Lucy, and they're pretty good artists, and I don't think they ever would have realised that if they hadn't have stopped drinking and devoted some time to developing their artistic talents. So remember that any creative activity is going to get those feel-good hormones going. So number 9. I didn't know this one, but did you know that some foods will actually increase your dopamine levels? Actually, I think Lynette might have talked about this when I think about it. But this is pretty interesting. If you need plenty of essential amino acids and tyrosine, and you'll find those in these foods. So we've got eggs, green tea, watermelon, almonds, bananas, yogurt, and, here's the good news, dark chocolate and coffee. So that's kind of nice, isn't it? So maybe if we have a craving for a drink, if we have a coffee with a square of dark chocolate, that could just hit the spot. So try and get some dopamine increasing foods into your diet. So I'm coming on to number 10 now, which I think is my favourite. Certainly helped me to understand myself a lot better and took a lot of pressure off. So just as I found the Viktor Frankl quote rather liberating, I also felt a great sense of relief when I discovered a book by Susan Cain, and it's called Quiet. And it's actually about the kind of power and all the good things about being an introvert, which I am. And Susan maintains that the population is divided roughly 50% are extroverts naturally, 50% are introverts. But here's the thing, because many of us go through corporate careers and we have social lives, obviously that puts pressure on everybody to be extroverts, whether that's their natural inclination or not. I mean, just think about it, whether you want to be the one at a party telling a funny story, or whether you want to be someone that's furthering your career by constantly networking. the chances are that you're going to use alcohol to help you to do that. So many people who are naturally introvert get into depending on alcohol to help them cope with their careers and their social lives, and that's certainly happened to me. So yet another joy of sobriety is that we can connect with who we really are. So if you are an introvert, please check out Susan Cain's book. It's called Quiet, and she's also done a TED talk on it. And it just takes a lot of pressure off, and it helps us to understand who we really are. She says lots of nice things about qualities of introverts, so it's very good for our self-esteem as well. So do check that out. So that's my 10 things. So just last word really. I just wanted to say, treasure your alcohol-free life for what it is, because it's a journey of self-discovery and it's a chance to really be true to yourself. And remember that happiness, which is much deeper and less fleeting than fun, comes from finding your purpose and working towards it. And that very process of discovering your purpose, working towards it, will bring you joy. Thank you. 21 minutes. Excellent. Let's see. Okay. So Sue, hi Sue, and Natasha. Good morning, Natasha. You're doing very well, Natasha. Just keep up the good work. Lynette, yeah, finding meaning. I mean, we're so lucky, Lynette, that we work in this field, because I think that's given us both a lot of purpose and satisfaction. Unplugging from the matrix, that is such a great expression. Clubhouse, yep. Yeah, I think everybody feels awkward, really. You think of a social event the first 10, 15 minutes, and I think that's why the alcohol is flowing, because to make people feel less awkward. So I think we've got to stop beating ourselves up about feeling awkward, but we'll feel a lot less awkward once we've socialized sober for a few months. It gets easier. Meditation, yoga, yeah. Oh yes, Lynette, you did do a Facebook Live, I'm sure, on foods to make us feel better. Oh, okay, awesome, guys. So I hope to see some of you at the Zoom Cafe this afternoon. If you're watching this and you're not in our tribe and you'd like to come to our Zoom Cafe later, then just let me know and we'll send you an invite. So I'll see you next week. Bye.